I kind of questioned whether I actually wanted to film a vlog this week because I am really stressed right now. So here's the thing, most of the videos on my channel are very calm, very productive. I want them to be motivating and inspiring, and there's nothing faked in that. I am generally a very calm and very productive person, but no one can feel that way 100% of the time. And there is a lot of stuff going on in the background of my life right now that is very stressful and giving me a lot of anxiety. The big one, and I've mentioned this very briefly in videos before, is that we are in the middle of trying to buy a house. This has been going on since June of 2020. It's got very complicated. There are a lot of solicitors involved and it has just taken so long. But as I talked about in my 5-year plans video, this is not just going to be a home, it is also going to be our business. So there is a lot riding on the purchase of this house, and the longer it takes, the more stressed I become. To be honest, I think everyone involved in the process is pretty stressed right now, but we've also reached the point where there's not a lot else we can do. It is really down to all the solicitors to get things moving, and having no control over the process is very difficult. The other stressful thing right now is kind of my own making. I am very close to finishing the edits of a book. I always find editing pretty hard going. This one has been no exception. I did major developmental edits last year, probably more than I would usually do. And now I'm into the stage of sort of copy edits, but also doing some continuity work to just make sure that everything is smoothed out. The reason this is stressful is because I've set myself deadlines. I really want this edit done, including the final proofread, by the end of February. It's now the 3rd and this is not a very long month. Even more importantly, I want it released by the middle of March. Now, there's actually nothing forcing me to release it then. I haven't announced this date anywhere and I don't have any pre-orders set. But I've been working on this book a long time, and if I don't get it out relatively quickly, it pushes back all my plans for the rest of the year. I am supposed to be publishing 2 more books this year, and the edits of both of those are not started. I think also what is not helping is this is the part of the process where I always have the most doubts. Drafting is fine. Anything that is drafted is temporary. It might not end up in the final book. Even the developmental edits didn't bother me that much. I was tearing things apart and putting them back together. And again, it felt like anything I was doing could still be changed. Now, of course, it can still be changed now, as I don't even have a release date set. But at this part in the process, the book is supposed to be pretty much done. I am tidying it up and, as I said, smoothing things over. I'm not supposed to be ripping it to shreds at this point, and that creates so much pressure. I think this is particularly true when you are self-publishing, because there is no one to tell you whether the book is good enough or not. If I get this stage of the process wrong, then the book that goes out will just not be very good, and the entire responsibility for that rests on me. So I'm going through all these chapters and scenes, and I am copy editing them, and I am working through the last of my notes, but there is a little voice in the back of my head all the time asking whether the book is good enough. And the simple answer is, I don't know. It doesn't matter how much feedback you get, and it could all be really glowing feedback, there will always be some doubts. And to be honest, I know this is a good thing, because if there were no doubts, then I would be in danger of rushing the process and definitely putting out a bad book. But right now, until it is in the hands of readers, I honestly don't know whether it is good or not. It's also finishing a 4-book series, which is even more pressure. I don't know if this book lives up to the others in the series. I don't know if it rounds out the series nicely. I don't know if the book on its own works well. So, like I said, I am stressed. I think this is going to be a vlog of me trying to get everything back on track, trying to get this book finished, and honestly, I don't know how the rest of the week is going to go. It's now Thursday morning and it has finally stopped raining for the first time in days. I would like to say that since yesterday I have got loads of work done and I feel loads better, but that isn't really true. Time has been in pretty short supply and I've been doing as much as I can, but I don't feel like I'm making a lot of progress with the edits. Certainly not as much as I would like to. The other thing right now, and this always happens both when I'm a bit stressed and when I have deadlines, is that my head is just filling up with all the other things I could be working on right now. I have got ideas for completely different books floating around in my head. I suddenly decided last night that a book I started a few years ago might work really well, serialized fiction, and I am just definitely lacking in focus this week. But of course that doesn't really help because it just makes me more stressed. The less progress I make on the editing, the more behind I feel, even without a set deadline. And I get stuck in this spiral of feeling stressed, feeling behind, looking at different projects to try and make myself feel better, but then knowing I'm not spending enough time on the main project, and I just go around in circles. I feel like we are maybe slowly getting somewhere with the house this week, but it is so slow that isn't really alleviating my anxiety either. So I'm kind of stuck in a position where I know that the best thing for me to do is to just keep working and make progress on the edits, but also I'm really struggling to find the time for that. That is the other thing this week. I've mentioned this in other videos that my toddler has now stopped taking afternoon naps, and this means a huge reduction in the amount of work I can get done in a week. I made an entire video about adjusting my routine to that, but it's been really difficult. I surprised myself last week with how much work I managed to get done, but I am just not having the same experience this week. So that is where we are at today. Because it has finally stopped raining, I'm about to go out for a walk. I don't think I'm going to get caught up with work this week. It's looking pretty unlikely at this point. So I have just got to focus on trying to not let that overwhelm me. I think, and I'm crossing all my fingers as I say this, that I'm getting back on track. This week has been exhausting, it's been stressful, and I don't think I've entirely escaped either of those things yet. But I was looking at my bullet journal earlier and everything I've managed to tick off this week, and I'm feeling reasonably good about my progress. The biggest goal for this week was to edit 3 chapters of the book I'm working on, and I finished that this afternoon. There are about 7 chapters of the book left to go, but 3 chapters a week is what I'm aiming for at the moment. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that I've got this far. This week started out so badly, and there was a while when I just didn't think it was going to improve. And the sun has literally come out as I am saying this, things are looking a lot brighter now than they were a few days ago. In some ways, I'm kind of annoying myself by saying that, because I'm very aware as I do say it, how much of my good mood and self-worth depends on getting work done. And when I don't get work done, I slide into anxiety very quickly, and I hate that. I do fully agree that life should be about more than work, but I feel these days that it's very difficult for me to separate the two. My mood is better when I am writing more, and that has been the case for a long time. And honestly, normally I wouldn't even say that's a bad thing. It really only becomes destructive in weeks when the work is not going well, and that's when it really starts to affect me. But I also don't want to just say that the answer therefore is to just keep working more, because I don't think that's any more healthy. I literally have no answers or conclusions to offer here. I'm very good at being productive. It's something that I like talking about. But it's much harder for me to acknowledge the mental strain that goes on behind the scenes. Creativity for me is part of keeping my mental health functioning. And I definitely think I do feel better when I am being creative, and that has nothing to do with productivity. But it's very hard to extricate that from the feeling of self-worth equaling being productive. And it is all tied up into this huge knot that I do not know how to untangle. Honestly, when I started this vlog earlier in the week, I definitely did not think I would be running through all these rather profound thoughts about my working habits. I don't really know if I'm making progress, other than to say that I feel a lot better now than I did a couple of days ago. And the fact that that is so inextricably linked to my productivity is maybe not healthy, but right now I will just take the fact that I feel better. We've made it to the weekend, which I suppose is not really that big a deal for me because I have worked weekends for about a decade and I don't really do anything special on them, but it still kind of feels like an achievement this week. I've reached the point where I feel a lot better mentally, but maybe not physically. I have now had the same headache since Monday. That is not a lot of fun, but my mood has definitely improved. I've reached my minimum drafting goal for the week. I've also reached my minimum editing goal. I finished my Chronicles of Tyria serial fiction chapter. I uploaded another YouTube video yesterday. And I know I was talking yesterday about how I shouldn't define my self-worth by my productivity, but at the same time, it feels really good to have got so much done. It's kind of hard to know how to finish a vlog like this. I'm definitely feeling a lot better than I was at the start of the week, so I suppose you can see the progression there. But you are only seeing a few minutes at a time each day. So I don't want to give the impression that I am snapping my fingers and feeling much better. Dealing with stress and anxiety is difficult. There is no easy answer to it. Being creative has really helped me this week. Being outside has helped me a lot. We had a couple of days that were a bit warmer. It wasn't exactly sunny, but it did mean that we could get outside more. When I haven't been getting outside, I've been doing yoga at home. And honestly, the thing that tends to work the best for me is just the passage of time. I know this doesn't work for everyone. For some people, anxiety is a constant, and just living from day to day does not get rid of it. I tend to go through spikes of anxiety and low mood though, which means that if I can just power through the bad days, I do usually feel better when time has passed. But like I said, I have been trying to help myself this week. I've been creative, I've got outside, I have actively looked for ways to make myself feel better. And this is one of these things that is easiest to say when you've done it. I know from experience that when your mood is at its very lowest, doing the things that will make you feel better is very, very difficult. It's much easier to do self-care activities when you already feel good. But I also know from experience that it is pushing myself to do these things that will make me feel better that does actually make me feel better. Getting past that initial point of resistance is very hard, but it's nearly always worth it. I guess I'm not really trying to give any message in this vlog. This was just a snapshot of a week where I was struggling and where I am feeling better by the end. But you know, I think sometimes watching other people work through their struggles can be really helpful. So I hope if you are struggling at the moment that this vlog has brought you some small comfort. I know I have chatted a lot, I have rambled a lot. If anything in this has resonated with you at all, I would love to hear about it. And I think that is where I'm going to sign off for the week. This has been an emotional roller coaster, honestly. I don't usually tend to go through so many highs and lows in a week. So getting back to an even keel today has been a relief. And hopefully it is going to stand me in good stead for next week and for all the weeks to come throughout 2021. We still don't really know what this year is going to hold. But as always, I am going to keep writing. I hope you will too, and I'll see you next time.